Viewers, we are here at the Israeli embassy with the Israeli envoy to India, Naor Gilon. Thank you very much, Ambassador, for speaking to CNN News 18. We've spoken earlier on other occasions, but never one as perhaps somber as this. First of all, condolences for all the losses that Israel has suffered in this dastardly terror attack.
Thank you.
The one positive, of course, is that Israel is getting a lot of sympathy, especially from the Indian government. You've already seen the Prime Minister's statements, and he's reiterated it at the P20 meet, where he also talked about the importance of snuffing out terror. How do you see the Indian government stand as of now?
I was very much moved by the reaction not only of the Indian government, of the Indian people. It started very strongly with the Prime Minister, who very early, already in Saturday, a week ago in the afternoon, few hours after the whole thing started, and even the magnitude was not clear yet. I think that then we spoke about few tens of murdered. We didn't understand the magnitude. He already tweeted. Following him, I got phone calls from all layers of Indian society, from ministers who said, you know, it's not protocol, I do it on a private capacity. I would like to share condolences from high civil servants, military men who phoned, businessmen, the biggest businessmen here, either sent a message or phone. And on social media, we are stormed with support and love. Of course, also of the other side, there are also opponents, but the majority of what we feel is extreme warmth from the Indian side and support.
It's a complex issue, as you know, and there are complexities that also have an impact on the Indian conversation, so to speak. In our country, we have a large number of, in fact, some would say the world's largest Muslim minority in our country. And obviously, when the Prime Minister took a position as he did, the opposition came out and said that, look, we should have been more balanced. What do you think of the view, the prevailing view, that we need to be balanced at this time?
I think that this kind of attack that was perpetrated is unique and one of its kind. We never had it. This is early in the morning of Saturday and the Jewish holiday. ISIS, Hamas, now in the past I used to call it ISIS-like, but it's not ISIS-like, it's ISIS. Hamas, ISIS are the same. They came, they stormed 30 Jewish communities over the border. They butchered more than 1,300 people, babies, women, elderly, kidnapped. We have 3,000, more than 3,000 wounded. They kidnapped, we don't know exactly the number, but at least 130 people. Many babies they kidnapped, many elderly they kidnapped, from the age of 9 months to the age of almost 90. Unbelievable. So I don't think it's parallel to anything. And I saw people trying to put it in a context, as you would call. There is no context, because if someone tries to put it in a context that there is the conflict, you justify in another way terrorism. There is no justification for terrorism, especially not for ISIS cruel, murderous activities. So I'm totally against people saying that it has to be put in the context of the Israeli-Palestinian, because or that the Israeli reaction has to be balanced or the same magnitude. What do we have to now come and butcher and cut the heads and rape women, and this is balanced? You want us to do the same? This is, all these reactions are really, really bothering for me.
You know that we've had traditional ties with the Palestinians, and we have, of course, championed the Palestinian cause at international fora. Do you think that that particular history is something that you are wary of personally as you go forward, and perhaps as this war intensifies? Do you think that the Indian government might be under pressure to course correct?
I don't think so, because the principal position is fighting terrorism has no limits, has no borders, has to be very strong and clear. I hope that, and I believe that the Indian government holds this position and will be also persistent on that. Of course, there will be more and more calls coming out, and when you see more pictures from the other side, but I think the line has to be kept. These elements like ISIS have to be eradicated of earth. These are people that have no conscience. You know, among the dead and the murdered, the butchered, the kidnapped, there were many foreigners, including Muslims, by the way, Muslim Arab Israelis. They couldn't care less. They couldn't care less who they were killing. They were killing just for the sake of killing and creating panic in the population, and that has to be eradicated. And I think all the normal countries in the world who want to make the world a better place should support Israel in eradicating these elements.
How do you respond to those who say that this is now collective punishment? This is not just about eradicating the Hamas, but you've just had the Egyptians, and they've come out and said that this is now imposing a collective punishment on the Palestinian people.
Let's agree that we have to eradicate this organization. Once you understand that, and you understand the fact that they are using their population as human shields, so there are 2.2 million people in Gaza, we requested the population to evacuate to the southern part so we can work without civilian population. Many have accepted it. But Hamas was starting to shoot at them and stop them and not let them go south because they don't want to confront us without the human shields. So it's not about punishing, it's about going after the perpetrators, bringing back the kidnapped. So we have very clear ideas and intentions, and we are not the ones occupying Gaza. From 2005, Israel left Gaza. Gaza is under occupation, it's true, under occupation of Hamas. The people are hostages by the regime there.
Well, some people will say that you've turned the Gaza Strip into an open-air prison. And there are people from Palestine who've been on my show, and that's what they've accused you of. They've said you've constructed an apartheid wall, that there is state apartheid, that Palestinians are not given equal rights. They are checked when they come into Israel. They are subjugated to dehumanizing checks, etc., etc. How do you respond to those people?
So first of all, there can't be apartheid when they are alone. It's their own country under their control. There is no one Jew. From 2005, no one Jew there. So the word apartheid, I don't understand it. If you have your own regime, don't have Jews, we are not in control. Hamas is in control. So I don't get it. And first, they also have an exit to Egypt. People forget that. They have an exit, a border with Egypt. Seemingly, they didn't have any problem bringing in a lot of ammunition, rockets, TNT, whatever explosive, whatever they brought in. No problem. Cars, pickups, motorcycles that were used to go in ISIS kind of operation. So I think that, first of all, it's an international border for us, and we are entitled to open or close it. You can decide if you open your border with Pakistan or you close the border with Pakistan. So I'm not compelled to bring anyone from Gaza into Israel. We are a sovereign state and we can do whatever we want. But in contrary to that, I would say that in the last year and a half or so, Israel was making a great effort to improve the level of life in Gaza, and was bringing in many workers, 15,000 I think a day more or less. These people helped a lot the Gazan, because everyone like that is supporting maybe 20 people of the family. They bring good salaries from Israel, and there was a growth and some prosperity, relative prosperity in the economy. But Hamas don't care about it. We thought that when we do that and we improve the level of living, so Hamas will have another incentive or disincentive to to create problems. And that was part of the surprise and the misconcept that we had.
But Hamas represents democratically, since at least 2007, it's public, and it's not as if the public there, the Palestinian public, has it out for them. They're not sort of reacting to them. How do you draw this distinction?
So first of all, they don't have elections. They had, yes, but they don't. For many years, they didn't have elections. So this is called one election system. You elected once, and from that time on, you don't. I'm telling you that there is opposition. There are videos coming out. There are talks. We see here people, but they're afraid. Also, people in Iran are afraid, and from time to time there is an outbreak. But in general, people are discontent, and more than 50% of the population probably in Iran. But yet, the outbreaks, out of fear of the governments and the power of the governments, they are scarce. So I think it's a dictatorship for many of the people. Some are supporters of, some are enjoying. That we in the first day we bombed there, the most privileged neighborhood, where we evacuate. We told them to evacuate first. of where all the heads of Hamas, all the villas of the heads of Hamas. So they have a good life, these who are inside, but most of them are living in Qatar, in Istanbul, in different capitals, having a very good life, sending their people to die and to suffer. They don't care less.
Bombing campaign from the air will obviously entail some collateral damage, and we are now getting images of obviously civilians there also being killed. Now, how far can you go? Because there's only that much you can do to break down Hamas through the air. Is there a land invasion now imminent?
So we say that we are going land. I mean, we accumulated huge forces around Gaza. We understand that in order to eradicate Hamas, you will have to go in. You will have to catch them. In order to free the hostages, you will have to go in. So it's very clear to us that we are going to ground operation. The timing, we'll decide the timing. For the time being, we are preparing. We are trying to prevent civilian casualties. So we are announcing before to evacuate. People who did evacuate will not be harmed. We defined safe places for people who leave their homes where they can go, and this will be, no attack zone. So people can be there under UN hospitality or others, and have safe time until this war is over.
President Biden said it's a bad idea to go through the land route.
No, he said it's a bad idea to conquer, which is something different, I believe. Taking the grand route is not conquering. Conquering is a different. One of the problems will be how do we come out of it? How we go in, we know. But how we can create there something that is stable enough and strong enough to sustain it in a mode that is not threatening Israel and is also conducive to the local population. That will be a challenge.
I've been reading a lot of course, the Israeli press, and they're also very divided. So there is opinion that the Prime Minister, Netanyahu, his government, supported by extremists, is really just a mirror image of what Hamas and its outlook is. And that it hadn't made things easier. You pushed perhaps Hamas and the people their backs to the wall. What else could you expect? The root cause has not been addressed.
So I would say, first of all, it's not a mirror image. You can like or dislike a certain coalition in Israel. It was after 5 election campaigns, they were elected. This is the government in Israel. Now we have a unity government. I mean, at least for the time being, Gantz went in, his party went into the coalition, so it's a wider coalition. Anyhow, there is no comparison whatsoever, and I would say more than that. This government continued the policy of letting people work in Israel, letting the Qataris pour in money which went to terror, letting them have cement and metal for building, civilian building that was abused for building underground tunnels and rockets. So all of that was continued by this government as the previous one.
Anyone who's criticizing Israel today is an apologist for terror and for Hamas. Is that the way you're looking at this?
No, I don't see that. But I think that people who didn't come out on last Saturday with a very clear condemnation of the inhumane terror action, butchering, beheading, rape, kidnapping children, babies, who did not condemn it, does not have the right to speak now. Iran is very much connected. I'm not sure that we can now say that they are connected to every detail of the planning, but they are for the training and the equipping and financing of Hamas and Hezbollah in the north. What you see now in the north, that Hezbollah is trying to, or Iran is trying to heat the border through Hezbollah. And 2 days ago, the Iranian foreign minister went and met in Beirut. Who did he meet? Hamas, Hezbollah, and Islamic Jihad. You know, the Iranians are very, very strong into the picture. And I think that's why the Americans decided, they understood that it's a bigger picture. It's not, again, one of the small escalations between us and Iran. These people are against us, also against India. Think of it, that the change in the Middle East, with the Abraham Accords, with the I2U2, with the change of, now we're speaking of creating a route from India to Europe, to the Mediterranean, through the Gulf countries, Saudi Arabia and Israel, they understood that this route is threatening them, even the Iranians, but also other elements in the world. And all these are against our attempts, mutual attempts, to create prosperity and peace and talks between Israel and Saudi Arabia. All of that they're trying to derail by doing this.
Thank you, Ambassador, for speaking your mind as always and taking a firm position. I think millions of Indians here understand what Israel is going through because we have, of course, been victims of terror ourselves, and Islam is terror at that. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you.